Hey everybody, I'm Crow, and welcome back to Nier Replicant version 1.22474487139. We need to go talk to Popola again, because we did Death Dream stuff, but there's still two villagers here, so I figured we should talk to them before we go back. Maybe they're still stuck in the dream?
This person must be dreaming too.
It would appear that way, yes.
Oh, I can choose to enter their dreams?
Can't say I'm very excited to go back there. That dream world sorta creeps me out.
So we actually have to go back twice. I honestly thought exposition was just going to take us away.
Perhaps you should spend less time complaining and more time getting on with the mission.
Side quest!
Yeah.
I breathe air scented with death and resist the urge to laugh, for I know it will sound like the words of a madman. How long have I been in this fresh hell? My box, my prison, is tucked beneath a stairway in the long unused catacombs of some infinite castle outside. I hear the sounds of a funeral dirge that plays without end. Light has no place here. Wind is a forgotten friend. I pray for death to come, but he forsakes me. Time passes. An eternity slips by in a single tick of the clock. Someone knocks on my prison. "Anyone there?" I hear an unfamiliar voice say. "My savior!" I claw at the door of my jail, embedding thick splinters under my ragged nails. I scream for help. I laugh. I sob. Surely this is a product of my addled mind. Surely it cannot be true. "Help me," I cry. "For the love of all the gods, help me." Impossibly, I hear the sound of a lock being torn out and falling to the floor. As the door slowly creaks open, I have just enough time to see a silver-haired boy and a floating book before the light pours inside. My eyes, accustomed to blackness, explode with pain, and I am forced to turn away. "Who are you?" I ask, shaking hands covering my face. "How have you come to this place?" "I am Grimoire Weiss. This is Crow. Long have we been searching for you. Now come, stand. We shall awaken you from this nightmare together." The one known as Crow extends his hand and pulls me from the cell. Though my eyes are slow to adjust to freedom, my ears are keen as ever, and they recognize the staccato sounds of heavy rain. "I never thought to hear that again," I whisper. "Would that this were not such a terrible storm," said Grimoire Weiss. "Look at your feet." I force my eyes open and see water pooling around my ankles and lapping at my shins. There's so much of it. Yes, and more comes each moment we delay. If we do not make good on our escape, we shall all drown in this castle. We know you are weak, but you are our only hope to survive this place. Time, that long-forgotten friend, made itself known again. I nodded my head and swore to save my rescuers, no matter the cost. The castle catacombs are a maze, twisting upon themselves like the endless entrails of a giant. I squint down the dim corridors and proceed north. Oh. At the end of the corridor, I find a row of 20 gorgeous canopied beds resting atop a carpet of velvet, all covered in a thick layer of dust and cobwebs. Searching for the door to the next room, I come upon a shapeless mass of gray matter. It has been shoved against the side of the wall, and despite my fever, I think I see the outlines of a door just beyond. When I reach out a finger and touch a piece of the mass, it turns to dust and drifts away on the wind. Realization slowly dawns, as I fall to my knees and weep. Corpses. I face a mountain of charred and crumbling corpses. I look from it to the beds, and back again until the horror dawns full upon me. Someone had piled these bodies into a tower and set them ablaze. Whether they were alive or dead, I do not know. Insanity will not permit me to consider the proposition further. I make a sound, whether scream or laughter I cannot be certain. Then my mind grants me merciful blackness, and I find myself opening the door and leaving the most terrible of rooms. and squint down. I squint down the dim corridors. So we went north, and now we're going east because south would just go back to where we were. So west would go back to where we just were, so north is a new direction. So every direction except for south. At the end of the path, the waters rise to my waist, exhausting me both physically and spiritually. I pray that this is the way out. Eventually, I stand the sight of the waters no longer, and so turn my eyes upward. Imagine my surprise when I see a series of paintings hanging on the faded plaster wall. Each depicts a person in the prime of life, clad in clothing of the highest quality. The styles, however, are strange to me, leading me to believe that these people had lived long, long ago. One subject wears an outfit that particularly catches my eye. It is constructed of a thin, breezy cloth and decorated with a motif of flowers and birds, while encircling the figure's waist is a leather belt of the most perfect construction. It is a stunning costume, even by modern standards. As I gaze at the portrait, I am struck by a desire to touch it with my own hands. Yet as I extend a single finger to the painting, I am gripped by a most unpleasant feeling. Staring closely at the image, I see it bend and warp into the shape of another finger. Something behind the picture is pointing at me. Is it another prisoner? A fellow inmate trapped for eternity in this place? I cannot let it pass, and so I seize the portrait with both hands and throw it into the water. The wall is hollow behind the painting, and inside I can just make out a body. Whether or not this is a prisoner, there would be no rescue. The poor soul is long dead. Scraps of clothing lie on the floor around the bones. Only a small amount of fabric has survived, but it features the same delicate designs that were depicted in the portrait. I have been admiring a row of corpses, blocked from view by portraits of each victim at their pinnacle. Enough shielding my eyes. I paddle forward through the water. I squint down the dim corridors and proceed south. So now we're at that juncture again. We went north twice and got there. So going north again, we'll go back to the room we just came from. Going south, we'll go back to the previous room that led up here as the only other choice. Which means we have east and west, and I want to try east first. At the end of the path, I find myself in a great hall with only the sounds of rain for comfort. The waterlogged red carpet squishes beneath my feet as I approach the center of the room. Once there, I behold a beautiful dining table upon which rests china and silver of the finest construction, as well as the remains of a fantastic feast. As my eyes continue to adjust, I see many chairs surrounding the table, each holding a dinner guest. Noticing movement, I approach the chair at the table's head. But as the truth of the matter dawns on me, I recoil in horror. The host of the feast is a corpse, as are all the invited guests. An army of foul, wriggling insects have made homes in their remains. And this is the movement I saw. This once splendid feast was now nothing more than a requiem for the damned. I take a moment to steady my shaking hands, then slowly back away from the table. Desperate to lose sight of the abomination before me, my gaze lands on the chairs upon which the dead were seated. This is a mistake, for the chairs prove to be even more terrible than the feast itself. Each one is covered in a layer of spikes that run from the seat up the back and down the arms. This explains the color of the carpet beneath my feet. I can only pray that the unfortunate diners were dead when the meal began. For if not, it is a simple task to envision the agonized screams that must have sprung forth from their mouths. My mind grasps fanatically at the possibility that these souls had committed some terrible crime for which this was punishment. Though in truth I suspect they had committed no crime at all. There would be no tomorrow for these unfortunates. This was their last supper. I squint down the corridors. Are we not going back? So I was going to go west next, but if we didn't backtrack the way we just came, and that's why we don't have the 4 choices, then going west would bring us back to the 4 choices. So I'm thinking north from here is either that room with the paintings, and we went back. Or it's a new area, and this would be going back the way we just came. Against all hope, we make it to the front door. "Break it down," someone cries, so I give myself to the effort. Okay, so we actually stayed in that room. We didn't backtrack like we did with the painting room. In tandem with Crow and Grimoire Vice, I slam my body against the thick, sturdy door. On the third try, it gives way, and we find ourselves sprawled on the ground outside the castle. The storm is in retreat, the clouds above are still dark and foreboding, but to the west I can see a thin shimmer of sunlight trying to break through. How can I thank you? I cry as tears join the rain on my cheeks. I would surely have died in there. Looking down, I suddenly notice that my dress is in tatters, and sheepishly try to cover my exposed skin. "Your dress?" asks Vice. "Then you are a woman, madam?" "I am." I proffer the two a smile. I suppose that comes as something of a surprise, seeing as how I exist only in the form of words. I don't know, I kind of felt like it was a woman the whole time, to be honest. I can see that the one known as Crow is disappointed that the torn dress will be given no further description, but he hides it well. With a nod and a shrug, the three of us set forth to our awakening. Wow. But behind us, an awakening of another kind is taking place. Black smoke fills the abandoned castle, providing the countless damned souls inside with their final shroud. After a moment, the castle's windows shatter with a mighty roar. A fresh breeze blows through the hallways and corridors, clearing the smoke away for good. As we watch in awe, uncountable black shadows slowly flicker to life, crossing to and fro in front of the broken windows. The castle's dead have awakened to their new life. As shades. Hey, her hood's gone. She became people. She's got glasses and everything.
You have anything to say about that?
Hopefully there will be no labyrinth next time.
I hear that.
That's true.
Thank you so much for saving me. I never want to have a dream like that again.
I get XP for that or something? We didn't even get XP for that. Saved you for nothing. I'm just kidding, they're side quests, I'm going to do them anyway.
And another victim. This work certainly is trying.
He's already outside, though.
I figured a book like you would be into all this word stuff, Vice.
Even I have my exceptions. Now let's be off.
A colony of massive sculptures was visible in the distance, their tall forms scraping against the sky. Vice and Crow had never seen such a sight, and their eyes widened as they tried to take it in.
Those buildings must be huge if we can see them from this far away. What do you think, Vice?
As Vice considered his answer, the sun beat down on them with renewed ferocity.
Perhaps they are some manner of mirage.
Under this heat, a mirage or two would hardly be an unexpected sight. Crow nodded and wiped the sweat off his brow, leaving a trail of sand in its place. He thought he'd never been so thirsty. The ancient road on which they walked was black and cracked with age. Here and there, thin wisps of grass pushed up through the rocky surface, as if defying those who had laid this material down over their home. The heat reflecting from the road made Crow lightheaded. His feet hurting, he crouched down to rest. I don't know how much longer I can do this. Is someone playing a joke on us or what? The complaining had already begun. Maybe this really is me. Vice tried not to let his eyes roll too much. A joke, he said? No, no joke. This road leads to the city of art. Perhaps the path itself is simply some manner of grand artistic work. You don't sound very sure of yourself there. Perhaps not, but thinking of it this way might make it easier for you to bear. Crow glanced at Vice. Vice's grinning face, shook his head, and resumed walking. As time passed, Crow's feet grew more painful, and his throat drier than he thought possible. He tried not to look further than the next step ahead, because the bright sunlight made him hesitant to trust his own senses. We are definitely getting closer, said Vice in an effort to cheer his companion. Yes, this much is certain. Encouraged, Crow lifted his gaze. Suddenly he stopped walking, choosing instead to stand in the middle of the road with his mouth and eyes wide open and his finger pointing in the distance. "Water!" he cried. "It's water!" "Water?" asked Vice. "Preposterous, I don't see any water." "Over there, just ahead of us. Look, the sun is reflecting off it." Without waiting for a response, Crow sprang to life and bounded towards the sight. What in the... There was no water. There was nothing but sand in every direction. Crow closed his eyes and sighed as Vice floated up behind him and chuckled softly. "I believe this is known as a mirage," he said. "Many a desert traveler has spoken of such things." Crow shook his head, bewildered. Suddenly he pointed off in the distance, his eyes wide once more. "Wait, there it is! I just missed it! Look, it's right there!" Crow spinnered off again, leaving Vice with no choice but to follow. After a few minutes of running, Crow came to a halt. "I could have sworn it was right around here." Confused, he put his hands up to his eyes and rubbed them vigorously. As soon as he stopped, he noticed a blue shimmering pool of clear water just over the next rise. With a shout, he bounded off in search of it. The chase continued for nearly an hour, until an exasperated Vice finally floated up to Crow and struck him in the face with his cover. "Enough, you blithering idiot! Stop this at once! There is no water here." Crow's face clouded. "There isn't?" "There is not, and perhaps next time you will listen to me when I tell you as much." Vice paused for a moment, then continued speaking in a slightly kinder tone. "However, I suppose this mad chase was not altogether wasted. It seems we have arrived in the City of Art." Crow looked up. Stretched out before him was a row of impossibly tall sculptures. Their journey was at an end. "They're huge!" cried Crow, completely forgetting the heat and pain of the past few hours. "I've never seen anything so big." Each sculpture was formed from roughly the same shape, a tall rectangle that stretched up toward the sky. But that is where the similarities ended. Most were covered with panes of glass that reflected light in 1,000 directions, while others seemed to be nothing but frames of steel. Some had tall spires on their tops, while others possessed triangular caps. "What kind of city is this?" said Crow. "Where are the people? Where are the houses?" "Perhaps the land is intended exclusively for artistic use." The debate continued as they made their way through the city. Miracles of artistry were everywhere. Great iron crates with wheels sat silent on steel rails. Beautifully carved works with lights of red, amber, and green dangled over every street. As they moved away from the massive sculptures, they found a great array of smaller ones. Some were covered in glass or brick, but many were composed of materials they had never before encountered. The sheer variety of colors and styles was staggering. Unable to find a theme or purpose to the abstract works around them, Crow and Vice eventually fell silent. On the outskirts of the city, they discovered 3 sculptures in the shapes of humans. Crow uttered a sigh of relief as he approached them. Finally! I was getting tired of modern art. The 3 statues were indistinguishable, except for a single word chiseled into their right arms. One read Alpha, one read Beta, and the final one read Gamma. As Crow moved to touch the nearest statue, a bird flew from the top of one of the sculptures, alighting on the statue's shoulder. It emitted a brief, beautiful song that took the form of words. "Only one is real, the others are false. The real form will always speak the truth. The false ones will only speak lies." With that, the bird departed. As if on cue, the 3 statues shuddered to life, acquiring color and form as they began to breathe. "Hey, look at that," said Crow. "They're alive." The triplets bowed low before Crow. "Please," said Alpha, "you have to get me out of this nightmare. I am real." "Stop lying," said Beta. He turned to Crow and threw his hands in the air. "Alpha's a fake, you know. I'm the real one." "What a load of crap," said Gamma. "Beta's a fake. Everyone knows I'm the only real one around here." Their respective pleas given the 3 statues returned to their frozen states as silence once again enveloped in the city. "When you consider all of the statements, only one of them could be the real thing," said Vice. Crow furrowed his eyebrows and considered his answer. "Only one form is real, the others are false. The real form will always speak the truth, the false ones will only speak lies." I've seen puzzles like this before. I don't remember how they generally find the answer. So, Alpha said that Alpha is real. Beta said that Alpha is not real, and Beta is real. Gamma said that Beta is not real, and Gamma's not real. Or Gamma is real. So let's just look at it like this. If Alpha is real, then Beta's lying. But if Beta's lying, then no, because there's two parts of each statement. Because Gamma's saying that Beta isn't real and they're real. So if any one of those parts is wrong, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's true. So if Alpha's true, then Beta saying that Alpha isn't true is false, and Beta isn't true. And Gamma saying that Beta isn't real is true, but it itself is false. Alright, I think these are just varying levels of true, but I think it's Gamma. Because all three of these says Alpha's real, Beta says Beta's real, Gamma says Gamma's real, but Beta says 1-up is false, and Gamma says 1-up is false. There's nothing to say that Gamma's false, though. So this one feels like they all could be situationally true, I think. But this one is completely true whenever it's true, because it's saying that Beta's lying. No, that wouldn't work. It can't be Gamma. Because if it's saying that Beta is lying, but Beta is saying that Alpha isn't real, that part would be true, but they can only tell lies. That means this has to be Alpha, because this is the only one where it wouldn't be a lie. The real one is Alpha. The eyes of the statue shone with an eerie light. The light grew stronger and stronger until Crow and Vice were forced to turn away.
It would seem we failed.
Yeah,
We'd best act more carefully next time.
this is the worst job ever.
Puzzles like that, dude. They're in so many video games, but I always forget the answer. Okay, I actually had to click through all of that again. There was no skip. I think I second-guessed myself a billion times, and that was probably the problem. I think I was right when I thought it was Gamma. But Beta saying that Alpha wasn't real would have been true if Gamma was real. Wait, does that actually make it Beta? I think this actually makes it Beta. Because if it's saying that it's true and Alpha is false, then Alpha's false. And then Gamma saying that Gamma's real and Beta's false is false. I was looking at Alpha and Gamma the whole time. It's actually Beta. That's the only one that makes the other ones false, because then this is completely false in saying that it's true because it's Alpha. And that makes saying Gamma's true false, but Beta being true is also false. This is the only one where these statements are completely false. The real one is Beta. Though Crow's voice betrayed a notable lack of confidence, he was relieved to see Vice nodding at him. Man, I'm dumb, dude. That took forever. I should have been able to see that, especially once I noticed the whole only tells lies and only tells the truth. But something about, like, that puzzle, I feel like I remembered that it was never the middle one, but what I should have remembered was that it was always the middle one. If Alpha were telling the truth, began Vice, in the dry tones of a lecturer, Beta and Gamma would be fakes. But in that case, Gamma's claim that Beta is fake would be the truth, even though Gamma is a liar. Therefore, that theory crumbles. That's how I actually started looking at it. Like, I just said, if Alpha's telling the truth, then what are the other ones? And that's how I went through it. Now let us presume that Gamma spoke the truth. That makes Alpha and Beta liars. In this situation, however, Beta is calling Alpha a liar, which would leave us with two statues telling the truth. Finally, let us assume that Beta is telling the truth. If so, Alpha and Gamma's lies would make sense, therefore Beta must be real. As Vice finished his explanation, Alpha and Gamma crumbled soundlessly into dust, while Beta sprang to life once more. Congratulations, villager, said Vice, in a cheerful voice. The time to awaken has arrived. Thank you for saving me, cried out the villager. He dropped to his knees and bowed his head as low as it could go before an uncomfortable crow pulled him to his feet. Why did you have a dream like this? Asked Vice. Have you been to this city before? The villager slowly looked around at the bizarre objects and sculptures that dotted the landscape, then shook his head. I don't think so. I mean, it's impossible, right? There's no way I could have ever been to a place like this, but at the same time, I feel like I've seen it before. Deja vu, muttered Crow. Just like the mayor. The vague sense of unease that struck Crow during the mayor's dream spread once more through his mind.
That was rough.
I am positive I have seen that place before.
Okay, that's enough. Don't need you getting all weird on me too. Okay, there. Now all the villagers can wake up, right?
Yes, if the mayor's assumption was correct. I think I have had enough wordplay to last a lifetime. Thank you very much.
You're telling me. Anyway, let's go see the mayor.
That's so dumb, dude. I wish I focused on the middle one, but because I didn't even look at beta, because I kept assuming the other ones would be false, or that it would be false, I missed the obvious answer.
Oh, how wonderful. Thank you so much. Here, I have something for you.
Obtain the one-handed sword Faith.
Wow, this looks valuable. I can really have it?
Of course. It's apparently a weapon of some renown, but we have little use for it.
Well, we appreciate it.
Thank you again for everything.
If it doesn't have more attack damage, I don't care about the speed. If I can hit something once and one-shot it, it doesn't need to be fast. What is the attack power? See, it's definitely the best sword for lightness. Like, it's very light. And it's way better than the other swords. Like, it does more damage than these other weapons by a lot. And it's very light. 20% down on magic power, though. You know what? I wonder what the difference is between heavy and very light. I'll give it a look-see. Let me just slap a Haha Soles on here real quick, so it's like the other ones. Oh, that's cool. It's a katana. Okay, that's actually a lot faster for only 30 less damage. Because of how close this is to our weapon damage, I think this is probably better. Also, I hope the materials to upgrade it suck less. Regardless, I didn't think there was going to be a whole nother episode of Death Dreams, but here we are. Thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you liked it. Later, everybody.